Hello, my name is Anthony Painter. This is a walkthrough of my final project for Web 1 at Cincinnati State for the spring semester of 2023. So here on the landing page, this is, um, I had 3 weeks to work on this, and so since two-thirds of it was basically done in the register to golf and the sponsors page, and for the most part, the statistics were pretty easy to put together. I wanted to try some of the on-change functionality that I've learned and used in other classes, just to see how that worked on the web. Little did I realize I was going to send me down a ridiculous rabbit hole of learning some JavaScript and how to implement calling different PHP pages from the JavaScript. So I learned about the jQuery library as well as Ajax methods and let's see here, where else? What else was I messing with? Learned about the JSON data type as well, where I'm passing my arrays into and then deconstructing them as I'm populating tables. Uh, but again, since I had a few weeks to do this and everything that my peers are telling me, as well as kind of the mentorship group that I've gotten myself into, I need to push myself to go a bit above and beyond the class requirements if I'm ever going to actually stand out. Um, so yeah, I wanted to learn this on-chain stuff. It took right up until the deadline basically to actually figure this out, but I think it was also kind of procrastinating some math. But let's walk through this. So when you the events years are populated from the database, but then the actual value is the event ID, so the primary key from the database. And then as we click through here, it'll pull total amount raised, the golfer that's tied to that amount, and then it'll count the number of golfers in the event. I had a grand old time messing with my logic there to make sure that I was only inserting golfers that already existed, as well as only or not entering new golfers to the event golfers table every time I got a new sponsor for that golfer. So there's a lot of database logic and table communication that took a bit longer to do than I actually thought it would, but we got there. So click through here, it's just pulling all the info for 2022. 2023 is the event that everyone is forced to register to when you hit this register to golf button. I do have some background logic there to where once we hit 2024, it'll only allow you to register for the 2024 golf event. So kind of proud of that functionality as well. Let's see here. And then we're playing with some double submissions on the year 2024. So there's two golfers there that are basically the same exact person that both got a $5 donation. I was just trying to see how that logic would act, but all of that's based off of the primary keys, not the actual names. So short of adding some, I guess, email validation where I would only allow one email address, or at least each sponsor is tied to a specific email address. So as you could enter the same, or I'm sorry, golfer twice if you wanted to, but if the email's in there twice, you can't do that. So I think that'd be the only way I could realistically avoid it. But let's go ahead and look at the golfer statistics page. I did the same thing here where I'm populating this drop down from the database, and then I've got that on change logic behind it in the JavaScript so that when I change the year, it's calling the database again, reloading the page with the relevant information. And then when you look at the event statistics, it tallies the unpaid pledges and then the number of paid pledges. And then the average donation is only based off of the paid donations. So if you look at 2021, unpaid pledges is one. So there's only one paid donation, and the average donation is two in that case. Versus looking on down the line, you've got the two $5 donations. Both of them are unpaid, so zero paid and zero average donation. So one of those, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And then if you click the donors button here, it'll populate a table where you've got the donor name as well as the pledge per hole. For each golfer here. So it looks like the unpaid one is Alex Marks, who owes Shelly $3 a hole. Everybody else looks like they have paid their dues. Jump back to the landing page here. Let's see. We can also hit this golfers page. This will list all of the golfers playing in the. Well, basically, this lists all of the golfers that have ever registered so that you can contact them if you want to get them to register for current events or however you want to handle it. And then this page also allows you to update the golfer information, well, directs you over to where you can, and then this all populates from the database when it loads, and then you can go ahead and change whatever you want in here. And then if this is working right, can't have blank spaces. Go ahead and submit that, and then you can see changes there. So shirt size changed, gender changed, and the phone number changed. And then if you want, we can click this donate now button. And that brings you to the new pledge form. Um, there you can choose the golfer as well as the event year. Let's see, I think this is set. The furthest back you can go is January 1st of 2020, so you can retroactively add two old events. Not necessarily the greatest functionality, but I'm going to leave it as it is. And then when you hit the credit, it automatically sends the payments or inserts the payment status as paid, which is primary key 2 in my database versus if you do cash or check, then it's unpaid for the time being, and then that lets you kind of run it down and figure it out from there. Mess with a couple fields here, show my reset button works. Got all the states on the database. Put that back to nothing, and then you do put in a new pledge. All of my fields here are required, and then they've got pattern matching validation to back them up. So we're looking at the sponsors page. Let's see here. Where we go? So yeah, we've got like the pattern matching for the date. Got the minimum required per hole is 25 cents. Had a cap at some point per hole, so I set it at $100,000. If you're getting that much money for a golf-a-thon event, I don't think you need to run your golf-a-thon anymore. Let's see here, and then these were the ones that took a little longer on the pattern matching because it's basically just regex all over again. So for the email, where you're allowing characters and symbols, at least one @ symbol, and then you're looking for a period before basically some sort of or some sort of .com, .org, .gov, whatever, and then the URL that the email is actually hosted out of. Phone number set to only 10 digits, zip code set to only 5 digits. Some of this max length stuff's a little redundant since I added those after the fact. I can probably go through and clean that up a little better if I wanted to. And you've got the same thing up here for the address. So you're looking, the real goal here was just not to allow blank spaces for the inputs. Stop staring at code though. Finish this out. Just throw in some random information here. Just show that that email doesn't match the pattern, as well as my pop-ups here. I'm pretty proud of how clean this looks. Put in some other nonsense. So that passed the pattern matching Across the board there, we'll go ahead and just donate to Sergeant Pepper for, I don't have any entries in 2025, so we can kind of show how that works. Give you 25 cents a whole, and then we're expecting cash to be submitted as unpaid, so we'll go ahead and check on that once we get this submitted. So thank you, me, for my donation. Pledge 25 cents a whole. That's incorrect. Please contact the event runner, which I assume is Bob. I'll go ahead and go back to the home page. We put him in there as 2025. Yeah, Sergeant Pepper. So one golfer, total amount raised is 25 cents. So then we'll check on the event statistics. So unpaid, 25 cents. Paid donation 0, average donation 0. And then that's me that pledged it. So we've seen everything except for the admin stuff. So we'll go ahead and jump in over here. Got the login page, which queries the database to make sure the username and password match. Let's go ahead and log back out and show just a wrong password. It's incorrect password. I don't have any functionality there that'll lock the user out or anything. I didn't quite want to dig into that yet, but as I mess with this further or develop something of my own, I definitely will learn that functionality. So I'm gonna log in here, and then we can add an event. So the earliest event we can add is 2020. I've got a minimum in there, and we've got the steps set to 1. Most of these years are already in the database because I've kind of been messing with it. So if we try to add a year that's already in there, you can see that it's already there, add a different year. Again, really happy with how clean these pop-ups look and everything. Let's see. I don't think we've got 2026 in there, do we? Clearly we do. So add 2027. So then add successfully, and then you could add as many as you need to. Go ahead and jump back to the admin panel here where we can manage the golfers. So this again is set up with that on-change functionality in the background through the JavaScript where this drop-down's being loaded, and you can see got all of our events in here. We've got the 2026 is where 2025. Yeah, so that's Sergeant Pepper, where you can clearly see that he's got the pledged and collected, and then the totals for the event. Go ahead and jump to 2023 to show a better view here. So that $3 that hasn't been collected is showing up here. And I've got some zeros that I've got to mess with apparently. Oh, they've actually got 0 pledged and 0 collected, so that's all accurate as well. Scared myself for a second, but it's Shelly here that's got 3 pledged and 0 collected. That is the difference down here. And then if we wanted to, we could click on Shelly, and that brings us to the donor information page where you've got the donor name, donor amount, and then you can toggle the payment status by clicking on it. Again, that's just some JavaScript functionality where when you click this link, it updates the database as well as refreshes the page so that it's reloading everything that's here. Let's see, do I have any golfers that have lots of donations? I don't think so. There we go, same as, nope. 25. All right, it's not worth it. But then since we've messed with all of that in here, we can actually log out here, and then we can see these changes reflected on this side. So unpaid pledges for 2023. Now that Shelly has been paid, you're looking at 0 unpaid and then 4 total donations. That bumped our average up a little bit. And then you can see Alex with the $3 donation there. And yeah, that is my functionality for my Web 1 final. Um, Definitely took quite a bit longer because I felt like most of the functionality was basically there, so I went a little too hard on learning the JavaScript stuff, or at least implementing the JavaScript stuff. I'm sure I've missed quite a few major things on whether the theory's right or where it's supposed to go or how it's supposed to actually work and be labeled and everything. Um, Beyond that, though, I think this is something that I'm definitely proud to show employers, at least as a couple week solo build, and then I'll probably at least finish out the validation functionalities so that I can pull on it in later courses and so on. But that will do it for now. Um, Other functionality I could add would be like deleting events from the admin side and making sure that all of that works correctly. And then if I were to rebuild my database here, I probably would use that auto increment feature as opposed to messing with trying to call the next primary key and sort that out with my own logic. But quite a few of those I couldn't add the auto increment feature after the fact without deleting everything out and starting from scratch. So kind of left it as it was because I had that logic that I could pull on from other courses where I already kind of knew how to do it. So ran with that for now, but thank you for your time and let me know if you have any questions.